Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video we will look at President Putin. Yes, we will travel in time and look at the interviews that I came across. I think those are very interesting ones and I decided to share it with you. So Putin will be addressing NATO. The video will be from year 2000. Then we will have a video that is an interview that was recorded in June 2021. And that video, I decided to share with you a part of it in which Putin is talking about Seoul. And the last clip will be about Putin saying striking first. What is the striking first about? That's also an interesting little short clip. So let's start. Not much talking from me today, but sharing with you some recordings that are part of history already. Let's start with the interview that was recorded, I believe, in the year 2000. So very, very shortly after Putin became president of Russia. Let's take a listen.
Скажите, если можно, несколько слов о вашем видении.
Could you tell me about your perspective on NATO? In your opinion, is NATO a potential partner, competitor, or enemy?
Россия – это часть европейской культуры. И я не представляю себе
Russia is part of European culture, and I cannot imagine my own country in isolation from Europe and from what we often refer to as the so-called civilized world.
Поэтому с трудом
Therefore, I find it difficult to envision NATO as an enemy.
Мне кажется, что сам факт постановки
It seems to me that the very fact of posing the question in this way not only brings nothing good for the rest of the world or for Russia, but the mere fact of raising the question in this manner already causes a certain degree of harm.
Россия хочет равноправных,
Russia wants equal, trusting relations with its partners. The problem for us lies in the attempt to replace previously established decision-making mechanisms in the world, primarily on issues of international security. And these tools, as we know, are under the authority of the United Nations and the UN Security Council. It seemed to us that these tools were being replaced by other mechanisms. Perhaps that is justified, but only if Russia has the opportunity to participate in shaping these decisions. A situation where decisions are made in one place, but are applied in a way that affects our interests without our involvement, where decisions are made without us, but impact our interests, such an arrangement would hardly satisfy not only Russia, but also Great Britain and other European countries. I believe that talking to Russia in such a manner is a futile exercise. It is harmful to the international community, to Europe, and to NATO. We strive for equal cooperation and partnership. We believe that discussions about deeper integration with NATO are possible only if, I repeat, Russia is an equal partner. As you know, we have consistently expressed our negative attitude toward NATO's eastward expansion.
Но ведь, в конце концов, Россия, как вы думаете, Россия, наверное, могла бы вступить в НАТО. Думаете ли вы?
Is it possible that someday Russia will join NATO?
Почему нет? Почему нет?
Why not? Why not? I do not rule out such a possibility. I repeat, provided that Russia's interests are taken into account, that it is treated as an equal partner. I want to emphasize this point particularly. After all, the situation that was enshrined in the fundamental principles of the United Nations reflected the state of the world at the end of the Second World War. Let us assume that the situation has changed. Let us assume that there is a desire among those who see this changed situation to modify the instruments for maintaining international peace and security. But to pretend or proceed as if Russia has nothing to do with it and to exclude it from this process is hardly possible.
Исключить его из этого процесса вряд ли возможно. Здесь
In this situation, there are only a few possible options. The complete removal of Russia from the international stage. I don't know if that's even possible today. It seems absolutely unrealistic to me. And if that's the case, then we all must approach these problems seriously. No one should harbor illusions that someone possesses advantages which could be used to the detriment of their partners. This kind of approach is what concerns us. When we express our disagreement with NATO's eastward expansion, we are not referring to any special ambitions of ours towards certain regions of the world. By the way, we have never declared any region of the world a zone of our national interests. Personally, I prefer to speak in terms of strategic partnership. The zone of strategic interests in any specific region is first and foremost the interests of the people who live in that region. So, when we object to NATO's eastward expansion, we are not saying that we have some special interests there. We are thinking primarily about the place in the world that our own country occupies today and will occupy tomorrow. And if attempts are made to exclude us from the decision-making process, that is what causes concern and irritation on our part. But this does not mean that we are ready to slam the door shut, withdraw into ourselves, and embrace isolationism. Of course not.
So that was an interview that took place in year 2000. I think Putin was at the time, if I'm not mistaken, with his age, 40-something, 47 years old, I think. But I want to ask your opinion here about something completely different. Actually, he looks very different to me. Not his statements, they remain constant as far as what he stands for, except, joining NATO, that's another aspect. But as a face, as a person, he looks very different. I don't know, I just want to ask what you think. Now let me play the interview that took place 21 years after that interview. That was 3 years ago. Actually, I'm sorry, this was not 3 years ago. This was more than 3 years ago. This was in 2021, in June. In this interview, we will hear some interesting answers about a question regarding the soul. So let's take a listen to this one.
I want to just talk a little bit more about your relationship with President Biden. This will not be the Helsinki summit. President Biden is not President Trump. You once described President Trump as a bright person, talented. How would you describe President Biden?
Well, even now, I believe that former US President Mr. Trump is an extraordinary individual, talented individual. Otherwise, he would not have become a US president. He's a colorful individual, and you may like him or not. And he didn't come, of course, from the US establishment. He had not been part of big-time politics before. And some like it, some don't like it, but that is a fact. President Biden, of course, is radically different from Trump because President Biden is a career man. He has spent virtually his entire adulthood in politics. He has been doing it for a great deal of years, and I have already said that, and that is an obvious fact. Just think of the number of years he spent in the Senate and how many years he was involved in matters of international politics and disarmament, virtually at the expert level. That is a different kind of person, and it is my great hope that, yes, there are some advantages, some disadvantages, but there will not be any knee-jerk reactions on behalf of the sitting US president, and that we will be able to comply with certain rules of engagement, certain rules of communications, and we'll be able to find points of contact and common points. That's about it. And what will actually happen, we will need to live and see based on the actual practical policies and results thereof.
Well, President Biden says, one time when you met, you were inches away from each other, close to each other. And he said to you, I'm looking in your eyes and I can't see a soul. And you said, we understand each other. Do you remember that exchange?
Насчет души я не знаю.
As far as soul, I'm not sure. One has to think about what soul is, but I do not remember this particular part of our conversations, to be honest with you. I do not remember. We all, when we meet, when we get together, when we talk, when we work, we strive and achieve for some solutions. We all proceed from the interests of our nations and our states, and this is fundamental and is the bedrock of all our actions and intentions. And this is the driving force and the motive for organizing meetings of this kind. And as far as soul goes, that's something for the church.
Yeah, you're a religious man. President Biden is saying he told you to your face, you don't have a soul.
I do not remember this.
He says it was 10 years
Maybe
ago.
there's something wrong
he was vice president,
with my memory. Well, he probably has a good memory. I do not rule this out, but I don't remember this. Generally, in personal encounters, people try to act appropriately. I do not remember any inappropriate elements of behavior on the part of my counterparts. I don't think that anything like that has happened.
Would you have felt that was an inappropriate thing to say?
Well, that depends on the context. It depends on what form they're said in. You know, one can say it in different ways. It can be presented in different ways. But generally, people meet up in order to establish a relationship and create an environment and conditions for joint work with a view to achieving some kind of positive results. If one is going to have a fight with somebody else, why bother and have a meeting to begin with? One is better off looking into budget and social policies domestically. We have many issues that we have to resolve. What's the point then? It's just a waste of time. Of course, one can present this for domestic political consumption, which I believe is what has been done in the United States in the last few years, where the US-Russia relationship was sacrificed for the sake of a fierce political strife inside the US. We can see that. We know it well. We have been accused of all kinds of things, election interference, cyber attacks, and so on and so forth. And not one time did they bother to produce any kind of evidence or proof, just unfounded accusations. I'm surprised that we have not yet been accused of provoking the Black Lives Matter movement. That would have been a good line of attack.
I recommend you to watch that entire interview. I will post the link down below this video. When I was watching this again, replaying this for you, I was thinking that if I would really tell you my opinion, many of you would think that I am crazy. So I will just keep it to myself. When the time comes, I will freely share it with you. However, I don't think this time is yet. All I will say, there are many players in this theater. And I believe in our lifetime, you will really see what has been going on. So let me now take you to the last clip. I will play it first with the sound, and then I will read it because I know some of you cannot see well, since this is from Instagram and the text is pretty small. So let's go to it. Let's take a listen.
Лет назад Ленинградская улица меня научила одному правилу. Если драка неизбежна, бить надо первым.
All right, now I will play this again and read this out loud for you. So let's go. 50 years ago, Leningradskaya Street taught me one rule. If a fight is inevitable, you must strike first. Interesting, right? I will put this short clip in the stories on my Instagram. Go to my Instagram, it's AniaK_44. And when you click on my photo here in the profile, you will see that story over there. But that's all I have for you, everyone. I will leave you with those videos today and let you ponder on your own what you think. He looks very different. And I don't think it's just the age that changed him, but it's just my thoughts. All the links will be down below in the description box. Thank you so much for watching. If this content brings you any value, hit this like, it's free of charge. And it really helps my channel. Subscribe if you appreciate my videos. And if you choose to support my work, that I really appreciate if you do, the best way is by joining my Patreon, becoming my Patreon, or you can also join the membership of my channel, and that is $2.99 per month. With this being said, lots of love, and remember, we are the leading edge, and we are saving humanity, and I see you in another video. Bye everyone.